In the 1870s, there were two falling block carbines around. In the United States, the one that was used was the Sharps. It was originally in caliber 50-70. Later it was available in 45-70. It's available as a saddle ring carbine. Later on, for export, they made a version that had sling swivels instead of the saddle. The U.S. Army used these briefly up until 1873. After that, they switched to the Trapdoor Springfield. On the European side, a different falling block carbine had been invented. It's called the Martini-Henry. It's falling block, like the Sharps, slightly different, but you can open it. I think you can see the similarities. Originally, the Martini was available with a hammer, like the Sharps. Henry came up with a modification in which it would use a striker instead of an external hammer. They gave it a little bit faster lock time. The two of them feel about the same. It's kind of hard to say which one was better. The 50-70, as used in America, was a powerful cartridge capable of killing buffalo. However, the 5.77 450 used in the Martini by England was a more powerful cartridge. Indeed, it was considered suitable for most of the dangerous game in Africa. The 50-70 cartridge was used throughout the West from the 1870s on up through 1900 or so. It remained a U.S. reserve item after 1873. A lot of home guard and militia were armed with 50-70 rifles. Again, up until about 1900. The Martini-Henry Action, invented in 1871, was used by the English for about 40 years. It replaced what was called the Snider Action, which was kind of similar to the American Trapdoor. The Snider moved left to right when you open the breech. The American Trapdoor, of course, goes up and down. The Snider was originally 5.77. They necked it down to 450. The 50-70 in the U.S. was replaced by the 45-70. So that by 1875 or so, both nations, the U.S. and England, were using 45 caliber weapons. The Sharps went on. 1874, they introduced a military model for export. It was also offered in a longer barreled version. The Martini-Henry, of course, also has a longer barreled version. I just got this one in the mail yesterday from IMA. What I figure I'll do is go ahead and fire a few rounds from the Martini-Henry. Then I'll fire a few rounds from the Sharps. You can see whether or not there's any real difference between them from a shooter's viewpoint. I personally don't think there is much difference between them, but that's just my opinion. All three of these are black powder weapons. They all load in the same fashion. They all eject in the same fashion. A big difference between the external hammer design and the striker design is with the external hammer you have the option of lowering the hammer slowly so as to not fire the weapon and render it more or less safe. With the Martini-Henry, because it's striker fired. There is no external safety. Once it's cocked, that's it. It's ready to shoot. You know what? I think I'll put my hearing protector on. Okay, hearing protection is on. Sharps is loaded. Gonna try and do the old trick of holding a few spare rounds between the fingers of my hand. It should speed up the reloading somewhat. She's been cocked. Notice the wisps of cotton drifting around. That's because I use cotton as a wad. And I just destroyed my stock. Oh well. Not worried about it. You heard the sound of plate being hit. Figured out where it's hitting. Switching to the sharps. Same kind of action, except of course the external hammer. That gives you an example of the differences between them.